5 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order, and this is just a special call meeting to consider the Board of Education as the fiscal agent for the Drug-Free Communities Grant. Ms. Yount spoke with us about that at the last board meeting and emailed out some information that we requested, and if there's any questions or discussion on that.
On the email I just shared with Mr. Davis, my personal email, I would rather it be sent to my district email. I know everything you shared with me was through my personal email, and so just for open records purposes, if you will...
Did it not come to both? Because I didn't know which one you used, so I thought I used both of them.
Okay, so it didn't, okay. I double checked, it's only coming to my personal email, okay. So sure. Thank you.
I also had Carla call and talk to folks at Lyon County, just to, I know, Susan, you've done a lot. Luckily, you were able to be in on it, even through Washington, which was very fortunate.
I actually called and talked to Nancy as well.
And she called, and basically what I wanted to make sure of was, was this going to add a lot of something to somebody that's already there that maybe was going to be more than they could handle? And they were like, they didn't see that, and they felt like it was best to be there, best serve their students. And yeah, I mean, there still may be some kinks to work out, but it does feel like, with our students in mind, even though it's going to be a whole county thing.
Especially at this time of it,
Yeah, and another resource person.
Right.
And I like the idea of being able to write in some money for a resource officer. That excites me as well, because that's right in line with what we'd like to do,
and
too.
She said it's just so much easier when I can go without having to go make an appointment to come into the school to do a program. I can go straight to maybe the health teacher or whoever.
Right.
And coordinate the needs right there.
Right.
In-house.
But I did it.
So how many positions total will be created with this?
Well, I think
For ours, it'll be the coordinator. If we choose to do a director, we can, but we don't have to. That's optional. But your number one full-time salary person will be your coordinator. And that will be, of course, someone new to the job. And then your finance person in your school system will take care of the POs just like we do. And then if we want to give, I'm hesitant to use the word stipend, but if we want to give money somehow, like to a person to help, say that Mr. Davis had a position here, not the superintendent, we could give him X amount of dollars to take on the reporting of the finances. If that's optional, there is money in the grant for that, but I don't know if that'll be up to you. If we want to do that, we still don't have all those details worked out.
Is it a special program of financing with that set up?
It's ran through just like anything else, yeah.
and then it's optional if we want to add part of that money to fund a resource officer or
Yes,
partially fund one. That's what you were talking about.
Everyone that was on that list that we had, I went ahead and called them, and out of I talked to 3 today, and they all had put in money for the SROs in their programs. They also, one of them, let me see if I can find it here, Trimble County, they work closely with their Friskies, of course. They also, teachers, administrations, SROs, they also put a high-risk component in their grant, and this is allowing them to work with school safety, the school shootings. They are now part of the Sandy Hook Promise. I don't know if you all know anything about that. It's a really interesting program where you go and you make a promise to do everything you can to keep your school safe. And this was created by the people that lost people in the 2012 shooting. But she says that that's been a really good component through the safety, especially now with everything happening. Butler County also talked to them. She said that, they have a youth coalition, kind of like our STAND, except it's called something else, of course, and she said we work really close with them, and they've been able to do all kinds of stuff in their school. Casey County, they put $23,000 toward their SRO, and they also pay for all the random drug testing. They also pay for the drug testing on incident, so they take care of all the drug testing. So I know that is something that the school does. Is the hospital now, who pays for the drug testing? I know at one time Champions was paying for that. Do you know who's paying for drug testing?
It's general fund.
General fund. Mm-hmm. So that may be something that the DLC could work in to pay for that, because they do. And of course, Lyon County, I think $29,000 or $30,000 is what they pay for their SRO. They also bought alcohol wines, did all kinds of things with school policies, making it tobacco-free. And as of right now, I don't think our school system is a complete tobacco-free. So that is a policy that we definitely would want to look at. But just things like that, some of the things that they've done in those counties. And the only county I couldn't reach was one. I think that was Pendleton County, there was no one available to talk to.
So there's considerable flexibility in making it fit what we want and need.
Yeah, the high-risk behaviors is a huge component that everybody, they're even writing it in the mission statements. We changed our mission statement today. It
That will control a lot,
include that.
education.
So we have to define all that as you're writing the grant, what we're gonna do, right?
Yes.
We have to
Yeah,
know
The
that.
action plan is, we're in the very beginning. I've got the chart made. That's about as far as I've got on the action plan. We have a lot of ideas, but now, once we submit the grant, they will look at that action plan and they will send it back to us and tell us yes or no, this might work or this may not work, or because, so the action plan is due to change, but as of right now, all of these counties just about have added something in there about SRO and also with the high-risk behavior component.
So how much do we spend a year drug testing, and who are we drug testing? Students? Or teachers?
Well, I know they random drug test teachers. I think it's about 18,000 the last time I looked.
But that's teachers?
That's teachers. I don't know about students.
There are students that get
So-
drug tested, I know, because I know some that have them.
Extracurricular sports
Certain
folks
things are
are
required
subject
too.
to that.
Okay, so just 18,000 on the teachers, or is that teachers and students?
That's the, when I checked the vendor last, that was around where it was.
Okay, and then who's our vendor for that?
It's Premier Integrity Solutions.
Okay. And then summertime, what goes on? School's not in session, what's this person doing?
It's most of them have a 180-day job. A lot of them do. A lot of them, it'll be up to us there again to include that, whether we want it to be, how many days we want it to be. We was looking at salaries and that kind of thing today. I mean, it can be anywhere, all that is subject to what the committee wants to do. So that also, how many days will be included in that job description that we are in the process of working on.
So it doesn't have to be, through the grant, it doesn't have to be all year round? It can just be a certain number of days?
Yeah, we can.
That's a good question. So it could be kind of when the kids are there, kind of deal.
Yeah, of course, you're working with the community too, and it's a community, that's the great thing about it being in the school, it's school to community. So it is the community, so you could be doing community events, when there's no school, but,
Planning programs and things
Yeah.
like that.
surveys, we've been doing surveys for the last 2 weeks. I've surveyed everybody. Tomorrow, we're doing a training at East Campus with 100 staff members. And our police department's coming to talk about signs and things to look for in substance abuse. And we're going to survey all 100 staff people that are there tomorrow. We've been and it's really interesting, the perception of our adults of our county on what our problems are. They've got a pretty good perception that a lot of these people have kids. But we'll be using a lot of that survey information too in the grant. The grant's 126 page. It is a very competitive grant. So, I want you all to understand that, we're going to do the very best job we can to write this, that, we still have to win it, even, and hopefully we will.
September, you think, is when we may know?
That's when we'll find out. Yes, sir.
So start of the first year.
Actually, when you write the grant, you find out the 1st of September, and it's written to start like the end of September. So it's because you pretty much have all your details laid out. Of course, the hiring process, you have to go through that. But you have to have the job, you have to submit the job description. They would like for you to submit who you're going to hire, but I mean, that's so ridiculous because we have no idea. Because I can't see hiring somebody if you don't know for sure you're going to have a job. So they will allow you to say,
Potential,
yes.
yes. I will put the best to get the chance.
So essentially, the program coordinator is who we are approving. That's the job description that the grant is wanting?
You need a motion?
Yes.
You want to say something?
All right. Is there any other questions or concerns and comments? If not, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johar, second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of approving the consideration of the Board of Education as the fiscal agent for Drug-Free Communities Grant, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Any motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by
MLA with me
Mr.
tonight.
Johar, second by Ms. Wells.